This is Everyday Expertise, and I'm Angela. And it is November, so it's time for NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month. Each year, hundreds of thousands of writers at all levels of their craft commit to write at least 50,000 words in 1 month, basically the length of a literary novel. Since NaNoWriMo is all about stimulating creativity and getting people creating, we wanted to talk to a few participants this month about their experience with NaNoWriMo and their goals. So, our next guest, and you haven't seen our first video, it was with Michelle Franklin. Go back after this video. You can see it's quite an interesting interview. Our next guest is writer Alex Park. He is also the Executive Director of Tabulit, a comic art collective and indie publisher. Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
So how long have you been participating in NaNoWriMo?
Well, the first NaNoWriMo I did was back in 2012, and I did fill the word quota for that one. But it just ended up being 50,000 words of nonsense. And there were many attempts of recovering it, but never did. And then in 2013, I wrote something else, didn't quite finish it. And then this year is actually the first year since those 2 years that I'm actually attempting NaNoWriMo again. Yeah.
So what was it about NaNoWriMo that appealed to you the first time, and what's getting you back into it?
Well, the first time I just wanted to see if I can pump out that many words within a month. And so it was more for the sake of proving that I could be that productive. And also for the sake of do I actually enjoy doing this as a writer, because it was in the beginning. It was the beginning of when I actually started to write. I wrote some short stories, and then I thought I want to write a novel-length thing. Can I do it? So that was the question. And this time around, it's more. I guess it's almost in the same spirit as that first time, but rather it's now more about making sure I get the book out that I've been thinking about for the last few years. I've been very greatly distracted from writing due to stuff I did in the startup scene, day jobs that just kept me away for a long time. And just I for the last 3 years or so, I was really caught up in the tech scene, so had no space in my mind to put to writing. But starting this summer, I sort of told myself I gotta realign my goals. So there's this particular manuscript that I really want to complete, and I thought NaNoWriMo is a great motivator for completing that, at least, have the word count out, and then I'll see how it goes from there. So yeah. So
can you tell us anything about what you're writing for NaNoWriMo this year?
Yeah, so I am writing about a South Korean intelligence officer who sets up a fake Korean restaurant in the city of Oxford, England, in order to draw out a nuclear physicist from North Korea who is a fugitive and is reportedly hiding in the UK, in Oxford. So he's been ordered to do this mission, and he notices that there are these zany characters showing up around him who makes him believe that the mission itself is not really what it's all about, that there are various other strands that are moving it, and that there are other people like North Koreans who want to get their hands on this scientist. And the idea is that basically they all sort of descend upon this setup of a facade of a Korean restaurant, in search of course, their mission objectives, but also to have Korean food and have soju. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
So what is your personal word count goal? Are you going for the 50,000? Are you going for more?
Yeah, I am going for the 50,000, but I feel like this is going to be more like 60,000. I'm aiming for more towards 300 to 350 pages. Just because I sort of, when I began, I didn't think that it'd be that long, but then now I feel that I need that kind of space. So, so yes, the objectives and the storyline itself, as well as the characters, have changed since day one of NaNoWriMo.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's what I'm going for.
So I think you said the first one or two times that you did it, you had met your goals, right?
The second time I did not meet my goal. I actually gave up in the middle because of schoolwork. But I shouldn't have done that because that's literally the whole thing. What it's all about. Not to give yourself an excuse, but I did give myself an excuse. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean everybody's human.
Yeah. No. Right? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So. What is it about NaNoWriMo that really appeals to you, I think? Like, what do you think the value is for you in your writing?
I think it gives you regularity. It gives you a routine, and it gets you into that routine. So I think for a lot of writers, the struggle is that you do not have a set regular routine where you just write and you treat it like a job. Most of us write in the in-between times, I feel. And I think in order to sort of have a sustainable career as a writer, in the near future or the far future, I think you need to adopt that kind of mindset where I have to write today and I have to write this much or I have to write for this long. And NaNoWriMo sort of forces you to be in that lane rather than just sort of going easy on your book and letting yourself give an outlet for just slacking off or being distracted. Yeah, because there's you miss a day and then suddenly now you have to write 3,200 words instead of 1,600 words, and it just compiles. So you have an obligation to write every day. So I feel, for me at least, that is the one benefit that I get from NaNoWriMo. Other than the fact that also, by the end of the whole experience, I have a very raw but a set of words that I can work with. You can't work with a blank paper, but you can work with 50,000 words for sure.
That's true, yeah.
So yeah.
How do you personally stay motivated then during NaNoWriMo?
So this is a bit tricky. I think this is where my sort of my like video game score side comes in. I like the idea of beating the number. So that's one of them. I get great discomfort whenever I realize that I missed the mark by these many words, or in my head maybe they're counted as points or in some ways.
It's a good way.
Yeah. But the second motivator for this time around in NaNoWriMo is that I feel that I've derailed myself in the course of my life since I realized that I wanted to write stories for a living, and I feel that this is my chance to get back on the track that I had meant to walk since many years ago. So this time around, this year around, my main motivation for NaNoWriMo was really that, to basically prove to myself that I can get back on track again. Yeah.
So in practical terms, have you implemented any kind of routine?
Right.
Do you write, like, do you set aside a certain amount of time every day to write?
Yes, I do, actually. So for an entire month before I actually started NaNoWriMo, I started to write between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. Every day. And so I would wake up, go straight to the computer and just start writing. And then when it struck 9, I would take my hands off and then either, go to work or do other work that needed to be done. So so when NaNoWriMo came, I could just jump on that routine that I had trained myself to do. And I think it really helps because if you set aside a certain amount of time every day to do something and you stick to it, whether or not you are actually productive during that time, you're going to go somewhere. I think a lot of people have this sense of yeah, I have a word quota today, and then I'm going to fill that. But I've tried that method, and obviously NaNoWriMo helps you keep in check. But what's more important is that you give yourself the space to write, and that is mainly a time management issue. And setting aside a certain amount of time forces you into a certain mindset where it just becomes you and the page and the keyboard, and you're just going to do nothing else but write. And yeah, it could be that for that time, for one session, you just go 1,000 words and not quite up to par, or but maybe some other days, like you suddenly hit a mark and then it just goes 2,000 or 3,000 words within 2 hours. So that has really helped me, like setting aside a regular time every day, and then basically, and also having it towards a time when I know that I am productive. So for instance, I'm a morning person, so I am most productive in the morning, and I am very bad at producing anything towards the evening. And I just get very distracted, tired, and obviously, even though I do tend to sometimes just go to sleep very late. I have no idea what I do. But basically figuring that out was was a big part, because I would have this tendency to write in the evening, thinking that, all my day's chores are done, all my day's work is done, so now let's write. I figured out that it's actually the reverse. Yeah. So I have to. So basically, I've set aside every day a time for myself during a period where I am most productive, and I think that has really paid off in terms of keeping me on the word count at the moment. Yeah,
that's good. So for the novel itself, how much prep work did you do before NaNoWriMo?
I actually did very little prep work, and by that I mean it was just in my head. For this one, I really hit the ground running in terms of I did not set out a character sheet, nor did I set out a plot outline or something like that. Part of the reason why I wanted to do NaNoWriMo for this particular idea was also because it was sitting around in my head for such a long time. I wanted to see what it would be on the page and figure it out on the way. Because that many words, I thought, I am going to figure something out on the way. So so yeah, I just kind of went in thinking, it's roughly going to be like this. It's going to end in this way, and it's going to involve this many characters, and that's it. Let me start writing. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there are two sort of kind of types of writers, right? There's the outliner, and there's the what I think Brandon Sanderson calls the pantser. Is the person who sort of just writes.
Just goes, yeah.
Yeah, and then figures out the story on the way, kind of thing.
Yeah. Flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
Basically. And I do tend to sometimes outline, but that's only when I have a more clear idea of what I'm writing, or it's a creative work that I need to do for someone else. Because then I can't really afford any room for mistake. But for a lot of things that I do for myself personally, I like to just figure it out on the page and then edit it out later on. Yeah.
Makes sense. So for NaNoWriMo, have you participated in any of the community events or anything like this?
No, not yet.
Are you a member of the, there's a Facebook group, I think?
Yeah, I am the member of a Facebook group. It's just, I just don't do that much Facebook. I use the Messenger. Yeah, I should, that's one of the things that I should really start doing, which is actually engage the community. I sort of like whenever I'm in a writing mode, I'm a very solitary person.
Yeah.
So I tend to just sort of shut myself off and then just go at it, and not even my cat or my dog will distract me away from that. But then I would like to sort of share the experience with other people. I know I've done that before with other people, friends who are writing together, and it really helped to sort of like encourage each other.
Yeah, to be like in a writing group or something.
Exactly. So yeah, I should probably get on it, and really actually get on it instead of just saying that I'm going to get on it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You heard it here now.
Yes.
He wants to actually engage with the community.
I promise.
Eventually.
This is I've said it now, so yeah, it has to be done.
Yeah. There we go. All right, so I think we've talked about a lot, but do you have any advice for people who want to join NaNoWriMo, want to participate? Yeah,
I mean, it's still not too late. If you go at, I think, 5,000 words a day, then you can still make it. But jokes aside, I think advice wise, like if you want to do the next year one, I would actually start training yourself now, and basically see if you can actually keep up a routine of writing. Like I said, I think the biggest takeaway from NaNoWriMo is that you learn how to be in that zone of writing regularly. So for instance, starting with, let's say, 15 minutes a day, and then that becomes 30 minutes a day, and that becomes like hour a day. I think writing is writing is also a muscle that you have to train. So my advice for people who want to do next year's NaNoWriMo is train your muscles now. Treat it like a marathon. You wouldn't run a 40K without any training on the day, like show up on the day and be like, I'm gonna run a marathon. You don't do that, right? So you train, you go through 5K training, 10K training, and 20K training, and then you go to the marathon ready and actually able to run the whole thing. So that's my advice. Start training your writing muscles right now. No matter how tiny of a time that you set aside for yourself, just know that the important thing is to keep at it. That's really it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex.
Right. Thank you very much.
We'll have, we have links to NaNoWriMo in the description. Also, any sort of social media links if you want to find out more about Alex and his writing and his other works. Check out the description of this video. So, thank you for watching. I'm Angela. This is Everyday Expertise. Bye. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this interview. Be sure to share this video with friends and colleagues who may also enjoy this topic. Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment below or check the description for our social media. See you next time.